What's up, Pirates? It's Jim with AwakenedTCG, bringing you guys another locals video. Today, we have none other than Red Purple Luffy. Red Purple Luffy did wonders for me this week at the local. For those of you that did not see the community post, we did end up winning our local with the Red Purple Luffy. An amazing deck that felt really clunky at first until I found this list that I'm actually really happy with. And I'm going to be playing in the Treasure Cup today when this video drops. So stay tuned for that. I will probably let you guys know how I do. But this leader surprised me with how good it is. It is the second 6,000 power base stat line in the game. This one being balanced by the fact that it has 3 base life. But for those of you that do not know what this leader does, let's go over the effect. It's going to be activate main once per turn if you have 0 Dawn or 8 Dawn or more Dawn cards on the field. This leader can just get 1 Dawn card from the Dawn deck as active. So just a free ramp once you are at 8 or more Dawn, which is going to make a lot of these 9-drop big bodies really good because you can play them a lot earlier than any other deck in the game would be able to. But anyways, let's get into the deck list, guys. First up, we are going to just show off our ramp cards that kind of are necessary with this deck to get to that 8 Dawn as early as you possibly can. First up, we have Lead Performer Disaster. This is a fantastic card that you always want to be playing on 4 if you have it. So basically, for those of you that don't know what this leader, the thing it struggles with is cards in hand. The fact that you only have 3 life puts you at a real disadvantage. 4 life leaders are already at a disadvantage because they get 1 less card. This leader gets 2 less cards. So obviously that is really bad for you, and it makes this deck really, really hungry for card draw. You need a really good card draw, and you need a ramp. This card does that all in one. Absolutely fantastic card for this deck, and works perfect for the going second curve, which you usually want to go with. And our other ramp in this deck is going to be another 4 Dawn play. It's going to be Hawkins. So for those of you that don't know what this card does, I know it is actually hasn't been played since OPO1 when it got introduced, but the effect is just on play, you're going to get 1 Rested Dawn. It is a 4 2K body, and it has a trigger that just plays the card. You're not playing it for the trigger, however the trigger is nice. If you're playing a leader for triggers, this is the last leader you would play, as it has the least amount of chances to hit triggers, as it has the lowest life in the entire game. But this is basically just another way for us on our 4 Dawn turn to ramp up and get a decent body that can swing at some low cost stuff, but that usually doesn't come into play. It is mostly just for the early ramp. Next up, we're just going to go over our 2Ks. First up here, we've got Khalifa. Khalifa is great, another great card to play on 4 Dawn if you don't have ramp. It's basically just going to be queen effect when attacking. So, as I was saying before, this deck is really relying on card draw. And this is a 2K that you can actually play out and get that card draw that you need and that cycle, because you will run into hands that are really bricked up. Just a solid 2K. I don't end up playing it in any of the games today, but there are definitely instances where you will want to play this card. And next up, closing out our 2Ks, we only run 8 2Ks because as a 6K leader, they're mostly going to be swinging at you for 6, not anymore, because the best way to beat this deck is to chip you down. So 2Ks don't always do the most, but they are still very necessary. Do not get me wrong. But it's going to be Otama. Just a great 2K. I mean, everybody knows how good Otama is by now. Minus 2K on play if you need it. Works well with Shanks, works well with Whitebeard, works well with the 10-cost Luffy if you want to threaten to pop something and not let them block. But honestly, this is kind of a flex slot. This can be replaced for like X-Drake. Doesn't really make a difference. Any good purple or red 2K you could probably replace here, but Otama is the one I have found that is just one of the best. And next up, let's go over our blockers. First up here, we are going to have Tony Choppa. I see a lot of red purple Luffy's not running this, and it's really weird to me because you're gonna run to 0 life really quickly, and you need blockers to live at that point in time. So these cheap blockers are just so amazing, especially with the fact that your leader effect is getting you 1 free Dawn every turn. It allows you to play this Chopper, and it works perfectly. But just a great card that is going to come in clutch in the late game when you are at no life. 100% needed. And I think 3 is the sweet spot. I think 4 is a bit too much, can get a bit too clunky. But 3 I do very much enjoy. Next up, our next blocker, we have 4 of the new blocker law. This card is absolutely disgusting. On play, you can Dawn -1. If they have 7 or more cards in their hand, you get a trash 2. So kind of like a mini 8-cost Isho, if you guys have seen 8-cost Isho before. Really great on play effect. It does not always come into play, but it 100% can come into play, and it's going to be huge in it trashing cards from hand. And also just a very well statted 4/5 blocker with that 1,000 counter. Really, really nice there. Next up, I'm sure you all saw it coming. Our last blocker of the deck here is going to be 5-cost Queen as a 4 of. The best blocker in purple, possibly the best blocker in the game. Gonna draw you 2 on play and trash 1. I'm sure everybody knows what Queen does by now and why I'm running it. As I said before, this deck needs card draw and blockers. This is the perfect card for the deck. Next up, let's go into some interesting cards that I think finally allowed me to realize how to make this deck work in this 4.5 meta. First up, Guild Tesoro. 3 of. 4 of's a bit too much, but listen guys, this card is absolutely fantastic with this leader. If you aren't running Guild Tesoro with Luffy, I think you are kind of trolling. Obviously, the play is when attacking, you can Dawn -2 and draw 2 cards. That is just so good for this leader. And obviously, this card has always been good if it gets his effect off. But the thing is, when red was in the meta, it was just so easily removable. Now, nobody's playing red. Basically, nobody's playing black. It's mostly just yellow and green, which has like no removal. So this guy is amazing into this little 2-week meta we have before OP05. This guy's not getting removed very often. If yellow wants to remove it, okay, you've got to Thunderbolt it. And now you're down to life. I am completely fine with that. And then I'll play another one. So just a fantastic card that in the late game, you'll play a big body, you Dawn -2 when attacking with this. He draws you 2. It's game over at that point. Just a fantastic card that does everything this deck needs to do. Next up, let's get into our big bodies. First up, we've got probably the most synergistic card with this deck. It's going to be 7-cost Kid as a 4 of. For those that don't know what this new card does, it is going to be on play and when attacking, you can Dawn -1, and your leader is going to have 1,000 power until the start of your next turn. So on your opponent's turn, your leader is automatically a 7k. If they even want to contest you, they need to swing 7k. That's 2 Dawn to leader. Very, very hard. Ruining people's turns if they want to play on curve. Like if you wanted to play your 8-drop after I play this, I might have ramped up so you might only be on 7, but if you wanted to play that, you can't swing at me. Or any turn after that for that matter. A very, very great card. Not to mention in the late game when you are at 10 Dawn, you can just play a card and use this card's effect. It basically guarantees you a Dawn minus every turn, which allows you to get leader effect every turn. And at that point, you are playing with 11 Dawn every turn because you're sending 1 back from 10 and getting it back. So therefore, you're playing with 11 Dawn every turn after this card's on the board. Absolutely amazing card. Gonna make this leader work in this current meta. 100% need 4 of. Next up, we've got 9-cost Whitebeard. 1 of the restricted king. He is amazing in this deck. Like I was saying, once you get to 8, you can get right to 9 and play this guy. And they are pretty much not swinging at you unless they want to commit a ton of Dawn onto their characters and leader that turn, which they usually don't do. They're usually just going to play on curve and then pass back to you. And now you have a 10k on board. So amazing card. You're going to run the 1 of. Obviously, if this was not restricted, it would probably be a 3 to 4 of. Next up, we've got 2 Shanks. A lot of red purple Luffy's running Shanks. I like it, okay, but I don't love it. can feel a little weird. Its effect is kind of bad, I'm not gonna lie. There's not a lot of 2K or less blockers being played at this point, so that really never comes in clutch at all. It's more just about getting from 8 to 9 and then playing a 10K rusher and threatening their board is very strong. And then usually this card is never being dealt with after the fact. It's at that perfect 9-drop cost, so Katakuri and stuff cannot remove it from the board. Only deck that's going to be able to remove this at the current moment is going to be blue with the red rocks and stuff like that. So just a fantastic card, only a 2 of, but I do very much like it. And now our next 9-drop spice, we have the 1 of Kaido. So this guy actually won me a game today. I won't spoil it and tell you which one, but a fantastic card that I think is an amazing in this deck, as it does do Dom -5, which prevents you from using leader effect that turn. But the KO of a 6 cost and a 10K rusher in the same swing is just really crucial. Say if they have like a blocker up or something like that, he can remove a blocker and go for game in the same turn. So that is why I run him, just for the surprise factor. He's really good in certain scenarios, but not always. But you can always trash him with one of the many trash effects we have in this deck. And last but not least, for our big bodies, we have 2 10-drop Monkey D. Luffy. This guy is great, trust me, he's great, but there are tons of games I played where he just feels so clunky, and I feel like his effect never goes off, because if they have a blocker, like, they're just genuinely not blocking. You have to put them in a position where they either need to block if they don't want to lose the game, or you need to swing into one of their bigger characters, and they just kind of have to give it to you, because if they block it, it's dead anyway. So it's good in that scenario, but the issue is if you play it and you don't have something like an 8-cost kit on board, you cannot use Luffy effect and get 1 Dawn active, which is really important for a ton of your events in this deck. So that is why I don't love it, and it's kind of clunky. But the 11K stat line and rush is pretty huge. Obviously, if you get its effect off, it's pretty gross as well. Definitely great against Green Purple Doflamingo with the plentiful amount of blockers. Very, very good card. Next up, let's get into our events. First up, 4 of Gum Gum Jet Gatling. This is a must, 4 of. As you can see, boom, 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 boom. We run a ton of bricks. Choppers as well, if you have it in hand. These guys are going to get rid of those bricks and convert them into 1K counters, and this will count as a 2K counter. Basically, you threw 2 cards out of hand for 3K, right? So, very huge, not to mention the trigger gives you just 1 active Dawn, which we've been talking about this deck wants to do as soon as possible. So if you take your first life and you see this, boom, you get an active Dawn, and that might have put you exactly where you needed to be. So just a great card that is 100% necessary in this deck, and I think it is no less than a 4 of. Next up, the 1 of Rad Beam, same as Whitebeard. We've got to run this restricted card. It got restricted for a reason. Take 1 life. This card's immediately online as a plus 4K, so they cannot swing tall at you if you don't have a blocker. Just a great card that is 100% necessary. Again, this leader gets 1 Dawn active, basically guaranteed every turn in the late game, so these 1-cost counter events are very, very clutch. Speaking of 1-cost counter events, we have the 2 of Guard Point. Guard Point, absolutely fantastic card. Just 1K less than Radical Beam, but with no condition. It's basically the same reason why you run these, just for that defense and that 1 Dawn counter stat line. But anyways, let's get into the final card of the deck that I think brings this deck all together, and is another reason I finally felt like this deck wasn't super clunky for me anymore. It is going to be Weakness is an Unforgivable Sin. Now, I'm sure a ton of you guys do not know what this card does, because, geez, I didn't until I saw somebody using it, and I was like, oh my god, this card is so good. At least with this leader. So it's going to be a 1-cost, Dawn -1, and your leader is going to have 1,000 power, so it's a 1-for-1, and you may think that's bad, but no, it's 1,000 power for the turn. So this is like a mini kid. For 1, you're turning your leader into a 7K for the rest of your opponent's attacking turn. As I said, the way people beat this deck is swinging 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, making you get rid of your already small hand. This card now says, no, I'm going to counter out of that 6, and also for your next 3 swings, they all need to be 1 more Dawn investment, which is absolutely insane against any deck like Red Purple Law, the new starter deck version, which I know a ton of people are running now because it's just so new and it's actually really good into Katakuri, I think. But basically, if you play this card against that deck, it shuts down their entire turn. Their turn is over because they do not have enough Dawn to attach to their characters to swing at you that many times. If they have 4 Dawn to use that turn and they have 4 swings, they're gonna go 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, right? Maybe use leader effect, and you're gonna have to give them 4 cards at a hand. If they try to do that when you have this, they go 6 with their first swing, you go counter out, now I'm a 7, and now they have 3 Dawn left to use, and they can only swing at you 1 more time if they have a board of 5Ks. And obviously, if they do end up doing that, you only have to give them a 1K counter. This card can just completely shut down turns. Swinging at a 6K leader is already hard enough. This card says, okay, now you need to swing a 7K leader if you're going for multiple swings this turn. It's weak against leaders like Kid that do like double big swings and stuff like that. But in those matchups, you're probably just going to trash it anyway. But anyways, guys, that is the deck list that I won my locals with. Really great deck, and I think it has a lot of potential. I'm going to see what it can do tomorrow in the Treasure Cup. Fingers crossed that we do decent. But anyways, guys, let's get right into the gameplay. All right, ladies and gents, getting right into our first match here. We actually have a mirror of Red Purple Luffy. This is the first local that actually had our starter decks as legal here. So a few people were definitely trying out these new decks. And you will see this one as well as Red Purple Law in one of our later matches that we end up going against here. But this matchup is kind of weird. It's kind of just who sees more of the cards they need, you know, like your big bodies, your ramp, all that jazz. And I actually ended up going second, which is really good for me. He's going to go first and play Chopper on turn 1. And passing over to us, we're on 2 Dawn here. We're actually going to go ahead and do the same thing, leaving 1 active if he ever wanted to use like a guard point or something like that. Now on 3 Dawn for him, he's just going to attach all to leader, doesn't have any plays. We will go ahead and take that, going down to 2. Now on 4, we'll swing 6. Just tell him to give us a 1K. He does not end up doing that, and we're going to play Hawkins. Sorry about the glare in advance, guys. Sorry about that. But Hawkins is going to ramp us 1 up to 5, which means we will be at 7 next turn for 7-drop Kid, which is exactly what you want to do with this deck. He'll do the same thing, go 8. We'll just block with Chopper before it can get removed by anything weird, and he'll pass with 2 Dawn up. Now, we're just going to rip 7 Dawn for 7 Kid, putting 1 Dawn back and putting our leader up to a 7K. Now, I actually don't end up swinging here because he has 2 Dawn up, and I'm thinking, okay, if that's a Thunder Bagua, he can actually ramp 1 and then go up to 8, which means he can put himself to 9. So now I lock him on 7 Dawn this turn, which is really good because if he was ever able to go to 8, obviously his leader can get him right to 9. So we did not want that, so that is why we didn't swing, for anyone wondering. And he'll do the same thing, play 7-drop Kid, and swing 7 to 7. We will counter for 1 with Law. Kind of just a mirror match here. We're playing the same cards over and over again. And yeah, there we go. We see the Whitebeard on 9. And using Kid effect to bring our leader up to a 9K with the plus 2K from Whitebeard and 1K from Kid. And we're going to go ahead, he's going to counter out of that with a Jet Gatling. We'll swing 9 and he will just give us the Chopper. But now on his 9 Dawn, he'll ramp from 8 to 9, doing the same thing here, and it's just going to slap down the Whitebeard of his own. A lot prettier than mine, but it does the same job. And he will do the exact same thing, swinging 8 into our Kid this time because our leader is at 9. And then he will go 9 at our leader. Actually, I think he swung Kid into my leader. Oh, and I told him it's 9. Very unfortunate, but he's actually going to go 9 and 9 there, and we're going to give him the 2K. Now back on me on 10 Dawn. We're going to spend 5 for Tesoro. Sorry about the glare again, guys, but and we will use. Oh no, that's not Tesoro. That's Queen. Sorry, we played 5 for Queen, putting 1 Dawn back, and we'll grab that Dawn right back with leader effect. and swing 8 with Kid, bring our leader up to 7. 8 on 8 here. We will go 10 at Kid. He's actually going to counter out of that with another Jet Gatling. Knowing what I want to play here, I'm just going to swing 7 at nothing for fun, and then do what we were planning to do, which is a Tesoro plus nothing. We'll leave that 1 Don up for a counter event, as he has 3 bodies that can do some scary swings. Make that 4. He plays the 10-drop Luffy and goes 8 with Kid, putting his leader up to 7. We'll give him a 2K, as our leader is at 7 currently. Now thinking about what to do, he'll go 10K at leader again. We'll have to take that. He will go 7 at 7. We'll give him another 2K, running low on cards in hand, only 3, and he'll go 11, and we'll have to take that as well. Looking like a rough spot here with no life to his 2 life and very devastating board. However, you do have to realize my board is insane right now, and we have the MVP of this deck, Guild Tesoro. If that card does not get removed and he draws you 2 cards every turn, this card is going to win you games. And this is going to show you exactly how it does. Currently, we have almost no counter hand. We have 1 2K and I think a Jet Gatling. But now thinking about what to do here, because we do have to play this carefully, trying not to lose. We'll go 11K at his 11K Luffy. He's going to let that go, which tells me he probably doesn't have any good counter in hand. We will put that Don back with Kid, swing 8 into his 8K Kid. He will also give us that. With 2 cards in hand, he's kind of reading to me that he doesn't have any counter in hand. He does have 1 Don up, so we do have to be careful about that. But we will go 10 at 10 right now. And he's going to think about this for a bit, but actually end up giving it to us, as we do have a couple more swings incoming if he did counter out of it. But we're going to use leader effect first, and then attach 1 to Tesoro, and put 2 Don back, swinging 7 at 7 and drawing 2. He will end up taking that, which further makes me think he has no counter in hand. Kind of awkward here, because I was expecting him to counter out of something. So I just have kind of a ton of Don left here that I can't play, as Tesoro did not draw me any cards I can play down, which is completely fine, as we are safe this turn with that blocker queen up. But he's going to play another Luffy. We'll unfortunately have to use that blocker queen, and he gets a free KO on our Kid with Luffy effect, and he'll go 6 at our Tesoro. And we'll give him a 2K. So Tesoro now going to get 2 turns of draw 2 value right now. And now with 3 cards in his hand, we'll just go 10 and then all in leader, and that is going to be the game. Telling me here that he should have kept the other Jumbo for the win, as he totally would have the win if I couldn't block with Queen there, because I honestly had like no counter in hand, as I'm showing him right now. But anyways, let's get on to the next game. Jumping right into game 2 here, we've got a game against Green Kid against a player with the regionals finalist Matt. This guy is definitely one of the heavy hitters at our locals. He is one of the best players by far, as you can see by his mat, playing one of the most terrifying decks to play against with the Monkey D. Luffy leader, as you do go to 0 life quick, and if you don't have any blockers, Kid can kind of just go 12K, 12K, you lose the game. So, really scary matchup here. We're going to need to draw in into our blockers if we're going to win this game. And let's see if we do it. Obviously, you guys know we win, so let's just see how we do it. He'll go on 1 Don here, and we will be going second. After he plays Bonnie, we'll just pass, and he will activate Bonnie effect on his 3 Don turn. Thinking about what to grab here, doesn't have a lot of great targets. I think he wanted something here like a 7-drop Luffy, but he's going to end up grabbing X-Ray. And he'll go 7 into 6. We'll give him a 2K. We need to counter out while we can, because we do not want to counter out of the big swings later in the game. We'll end up playing Hawkins, going up to 5 Dawn. Now going to go 6 at 6. We'll give him that 1K. Again, trying to counter out of these low swings while we can, and he'll play Zoro. Now on my 7 Dawn turn, thinking about what to do here, Kid would not be bad if we had it, but it doesn't look like we do. We'll go 7 at lead, and he will take that. And we will play 5 for Guild. Tesoro, the god of this deck, and the only reason I won this game. This card is so clutch in this deck, and I really think it has a great place in the meta right now. Anyway, he's going to go 6, and he's going to go 7. Thinking about throwing that 2K, but I just don't want to go to too low cards in hand right now. And he's going to play a Frankie, passing back to us on 10 Dawn. Having Whitebeard in hand here, once again, I did draw very good this tournament. I will not lie about that. We'll go up to 8, and we'll use Guild Tesoro effect, swinging at his Zoro for 6, and drawing 2. And we will now swing 8 at his Zoro. If he does want to give us a 2 and a 1, which he does, he can, as we are an 8K leader right now. And if he wants to swing at us multiple times, it is going to be a bit difficult. He's going to go 8K right now at our Tesoro. We will just give that to him. Unfortunately, do not want to get rid of all the cards in my hand. He'll go 8 at me, and we'll use weakness is yada yada yada, and he's going to be like, oh, what does that card do? And we're going to tell him, yeah, I'm now a 9K for the turn, and he's going to just decide to play a Frankie and not go for a double swing because of that. Very good use of this card. We're going to go 10K at his 7K with Whitebeard, and he's just going to give us that, not wanting to give us his entire hand to save it. Now another Guild Tesoro in hand. Thinking about playing it here as if we can survive this next turn, it would basically ensure we win this game, but we'll just go 6, and he'll give us a 2K. Now spending 5 to play that Guild Tesoro, as well as a Queen. Sorry if you can't see it there. And Queen is going to let us get Impel Down All-Stars into the trash, as it was a massive break in the hand. Just another reason that card is so great in this deck. Also, I think we ramped at the start of the turn, which is why we didn't bring that Dawn back earlier. I don't think I commented on it. He'll go 7 at 6. We'll give him a 2, and he will go 9. We'll take, going 9 with Kid. We'll take, he'll go 9 again, and we'll have to give him that Queen. Now, in this situation, guys, if we do not have a blocker, this game is basically over. He has like 3 cards in hand, but still, even with the Tesoro on board, unfortunately, we are going to need to have blockers to win in this situation, and this is why you need to run the choppers, in my opinion. But anyways, we'll go 11K to 7 at his Frankie. Just trying to clear that board so Kid is all we have to worry about. Now playing Chopper and using Tesoro effect, swinging at Zoro and drawing 2. Thinking about to save it here. With 3 cards in hand, we're basically saying you have to give us all the cards in your hand this turn because we have Luffy swing incoming as well. But yeah, he's going to go ahead and save it. And we're going to decide just to count up our Dawn here and go 8K to Zoro, so he has to give us both cards in hand if he wants to save it. Also, if he does not have a 2K, it is just unsavable. But he's going to give us double 2K, going to 0 cards in hand, basically saying, I am going to beat you next turn. We'll just attach 4 to Hawkins, get the guaranteed KO on Zoro, and we will play another Chopper. Coming in clutch, he'll just go 12K, 12K. We'll give him both Choppers, and he will pass to us. Now Go Tesoro going to get another turn of draw 2 value. Go Tesoro going insane in this matchup right now. Just a ton of cards in hand that we just should not have had. This card is so good in this deck, guys. I cannot stress it to you enough. But we're going to play another one. Number 3, our last Go Tesoro in the deck, out on the board. And use Go Tesoro effect, drawing another 2. He'll take that 6K swing. Gonna use leader effect, going up to 6 Dawn again. As I said, this leader able to play with 11 Dawn basically every turn. Going to take another 6 and the 10 from Whitebeard. He basically needs to win this next turn or he loses. We'll play Queen, which basically guarantees our victory, as he's going to trash that 10 cost Luffy we don't need, and we will pay 1 for another Chopper. Oh my goodness. Yeah, if he had any chance to get rid of that Queen, yeah, after Chopper there was just no shot to win the game here, especially since I have so many cards in hand, as you can see here. Yeah, unfortunately he didn't draw his 7 cost Luffy's or anything that was big like that, but that is just how it goes sometimes, and I definitely drew very well, and I think this deck shows that even with bad matchups like Kid right here, you can totally beat the deck if you draw what you need to draw into. Just a fantastic deck. Alright, getting into our final match of the night, guys. We have finals against Red Purple Law against none other than Wraith Talks, the original Green Purple Dofi winner. This game goes really fast, and you guys will see why. Usually, I think this is a great matchup for Luffy, but he actually played this really well and made it very difficult. We're going to go ahead and play a Chopper and swing 8 here. On our 3-Dawn turn, he's going to be on our 4-Dawn turn. Kind of realizing that Chopper is not amazing to play, but it does force him to use leader effect, and if he doesn't have these Dawn ramping cards, he's just not going to be able to swing at me, as he will not have enough Dawn to attach. But playing the Iron, showing me that he does have what he needs. Putting 3 back and playing a Beppo, going up to 3. Ramping once again. Showing he is not going to make this an easy victory. We're going to just use All-Stars. Lead Performers, I think it's called. And swing 7, leaving 1 Dawn up for any counter event. Passing back to him. Still on 5 Dawn, which is really good after using a Dawn -3 effect. He got a double ramp last turn, which is just super strong. And now 2 5Ks on the board, which can totally pressure me. But let's go ahead and see what he decides to do. Going to look at the hand. Probably going to end up playing that John Bart, as he is at 5 Dawn, which just makes it a perfect card to ramp with once again. I think that is the only way Law can actually win this matchup, is you need to keep ramping so you have enough Dawn to attach and swing at leader, while also getting a big board. That's the only way to beat this deck. He'll go 5K, just activating Beppo effect and getting Arrested Dawn. He'll do John Bart effect, getting an active Dawn and ramping again. And using leader effect, just playing out Beppo and ramping again. Fantastic hand and played very well, exactly how you should play it. Just waiting to get this massive board and then get this multiple swings into me. So here we are going to play Useless Captain Kid, putting our leader up to 7. Going to make it very difficult for that board to swing at me multiple times. And we will go 8 into Beppo, I presume. Just wanting to limit the Dawn Rampage and the bodies on board. Maybe should have gone at leader, putting him in a spot where he kind of needs to give me his whole hand if he wants to live next turn, as we do have a Kid and a Luffy if he does not remove the Kid. He'll play Heat and Gordon on my Kid, showing that he's going to remove it. And Otama, down to 3. Using leader effect, putting it back, and playing another Ein, ramping again. Now putting 2 on Beppo, swinging 7, making us give him a 1K, and ramping again. Yeah, he is keeping up in Dawn while still doing these Dawn -3s. This is so important in winning this matchup. Even though he hasn't swung much, he's been building a board, as you can see by this massive board he has. And he's making it hard for me to play these big bodies that I want. Like, I have Whitebeard this turn. And looking back, I totally should have played it, because he needs to attach 3 Dawn to actually, like, just make me give him a 1K. I totally should have played it, but I'm actually going to play a Queen because my hand was so bricked. I had, like, no counter. And I'm going to play a Tesoro and a Chopper. So, probably just should have played Whitebeard, like I said, but I had, like, no counter in hand. I had that 1 Queen, and that was all I was going to be able to counter out with if I did play Whitebeard, so if he doesn't remove Tesoro this turn, I can play Whitebeard and use the effect. That's what I was thinking I was doing. But you're going to see he's going to have other ideas in mind. He'll go 8 at leader. We will get rid of that Chopper before he can use the leader effect. He will replace Ein with a Gordon, giving Tesoro -3 and bottom decking it, playing out a Zoro with leader effect. Going to go 6. We'll take another 6 with the Zoro he just played. We'll give him a 2. He'll go 6K with that Heat, as its effect is now online. We will take that. And just use the Lead Performer trigger effect. No ramp, but it does give us the draw, as it would be a dead card in hand. He'll go 6, we will take, and we'll give him another 1K. Looking at my hand now, no counter. Looking at his board that we can definitely not remove. We have to go for game. We'll go for 6. He had 1 card in hand. We'll go 7. He had 2 cards in hand. No 2K still. We will play 9-drop Kaido. Go 10K, and that is game, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very close game and very, very quick game. Anyways, guys, that is going to be the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I had a ton of fun with this deck, and I really think it has a great place, not only in this 4.5 meta, but in the coming OPO5 meta. if the Whitebeard and Radical Beams get unrestricted, which I really think they're going to after Sakazuki starts to dominate, I think this deck is going to be in a great spot. Not to mention, this is the only deck that I think can actually make legitimate use of the new 10-drop Secret Rare Gear 5th Luffy card that is just so cool, probably the coolest card in the game, and if this is the only deck that can play it, this is probably going to be the deck that I end up playing next set. But anyways, guys, if you are new to the channel, we do this every week. There is a poll out right now on what deck list we're going to bring to our locals and test next week. I think Red Purple Law is winning, as honestly I expected. People do want to see the new decks. I think it's a really strong deck, and I think Wraith will end up making that next week. Anyways, we're going to have a ton of great videos, daily videos, guys, coming out your way. A lot of OPL5 content. We are going to have a ton of stuff coming out, so please make sure to stay tuned. And if you did watch to the end, please subscribe. It would mean a lot to us. We are on our way to 2,000, and we are going to be doing a massive giveaway at 5,000 if you guys have not heard. So please subscribe. Thank you so much for watching till the end, and please have a great day. Peace.